So I believe in conflict. It seems that conflict believes in me because I have it in my life, I have it in my relationship, in my family, at work. I mean, I can't see all of you, but who here doesn't have conflict in their life? Even the Dalai Lama has conflict when you think about it. And actually, I had an experience of seeing the worst of conflict as a young boy, growing up next to my dad, who came back from a war and a prison camp, wounded, of Israel's independence war at the age of 17, and a big scar on his stomach and a bullet in his body throughout his life. So I've seen the worst. However, conflict doesn't have to be like that, because conflict is actually a very powerful force of life. Right? Conflict is diversity. If you look at the hand, it's made of 5 different fingers. They're different and they complement each other. Together, they're a great force, if we are able to work well together. As a matter of fact, one sign of wisdom, according to Scott Fitzgerald, is the ability to hold 2 opposing opinions simultaneously. I come from a culture that is very argumentative. As a matter of fact, we say in our meetings, the first one that stops to breathe loses the argument. And sometimes we also say, if 2 people agree on everything, one of them is unnecessary. So obviously you can imagine that there is a lot of debate and a lot of differences. Tremendous power, because creation happens when we have different of opinions. But sometimes that could end up being destructive, and sometimes it could be constructive. And the challenge is, how do we make it constructive? How do we manage a conversation in a way that we can grow from it? The answer is that we need to have a process that requires us to be able to, first and foremost, withhold our judgment, our counter-opinion, and to be able to hold the space for the other person, and to listen carefully to the counter-opinion. If we're able to do that, that's very powerful. Through my experience, I've come to develop a process that is made out of 3 simple steps. So simple that they can fit on the back of a card. And you can hold it in your hand and follow through. I would like to share with you how I came to this, and then for us to have an experience of going through it. So this all started after 9/11, when a group of CEOs, top CEOs, decided that they want to do something in the world that is different than just learning and educating themselves. They wanted to come together and have a conversation with people who are belonging to the other side, to have a direct dialogue that is not filtered through media, that is not filtered through politicians, and just to talk face to face. So they said, okay, which one do we want to choose? They took an easy one, the Israeli-Palestinian one. Well, simple, it's only a 200-year problem, but... So we got together in a beautiful castle outside of London and had a conversation. They asked me to be the moderator, so I followed a model that says in business, you first ask, where are you, where do you need to go, and how do you get there? So as I start the conversation, after introduction, I say, okay, where are you? Let's talk. And it begins in a floodgate. You guys are blowing buses at our streets. This is a time where hundreds of people have been killed. You guys are occupying the best bank. Your settlements are basically taking our rights. You guys are preaching, you guys. 2 hours of direct, very painful, but very powerful conversation, and extremely civilized. At the evening, we go to have dinner. Wonderful. We sit around, we tell jokes, we laugh. As a matter of fact, we realize we really enjoy each other's company. This is people you don't sit across the table ever. And all of a sudden, it's a fantastic evening. We're really enjoying each other. We see a lot of commonalities. We like the same food. We definitely like the same humor. You know, 6 men from Israel, 6 from the Arab world, 2 other countries from around the world, really having a good time together. We go to sleep. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. It was a good day. The next morning I come into the room. I'm following my model. I say, now, let's talk about where we want to go. How does the future look? One of the guys from the Arab side says to me, Amir, hang on, you're going too fast. So what do you mean? He says, we're not there yet. We're not with you. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, there goes my model. what do I do now? So I say, okay, let's divide into 5 groups. The 5 groups are presented in the room. And for each group, there will be one person from the opposite side, coached by the members of that side, to explain the rationale of what is the argument of that side. The first one that gets on the stage is a guy from the Arab side. He says, I don't need to be coached. Okay, he's saying, there goes my exercise. The guy stands up and starts to talk. If I had a table, I would pound on it now. Pa! He says, this is our land. Who are you, you wandering tribes, that you think you have a right for this territory? We've been around here for 3,000 years. Where is Jerusalem mentioned in the Quran? While in our Bible, God knows how many times. This is occupied from whom? This was Jordan, not the Palestinian states. This is the one and only Jewish state. As he sits down, we're all realizing this guy understands us very well. You know, we don't need to continue preaching our rhetoric. Point made, you know, move on, man. The next one that stands up is an Israeli. Now, he's portraying a situation where a father and a son are walking towards a roadblock in the West Bank. I'm walking towards the roadblock. I see the soldier. I'm really tense. My son looks at me and he sees the sweat on my face, he sees the fear in my eyes, not realizing that what I fear the most is that he will make an unnecessary move that will be misinterpreted by the soldier. As he says this, there is a deep silence in the room. I look at one of the guys from the Arab side, he seems emotional. I say, hey man, what's going on? He says, I never thought that an Israeli ex-pilot will understand how it feels to be a Palestinian. In that moment, something very magical happened. We have experienced what later I labeled, understood that everybody does, is called empathy, the ability to be in the other person's shoes. We just experienced 2 powerful lessons that if you want to talk first, let me tell you what I hear you to say, so that you understand that I understand your point of view, and I can hold it without looking for my counter-argument immediately. And secondly, I know how it feels to be in your shoes. The first step of every conflict resolution requires fully understanding each other, ideas, my argument, my emotions, and my need. I would like us to do an exercise together about being in that position. So walk with me through this, please. Think about a conflict that you have in your life. It could be something that is happening now. It could be something that was in the past. Now I would like you to think about what is your argument, the conflict with a certain individual. What is your argument, your facts, your feelings, your emotions, your needs in this argument? And just for a moment, close your eyes, please, and tell yourself this argument. As if the other person is standing right in front of you. Breathe. And now what I would like you to do is, I would like you to put yourself in the shoes of the person with whom you have the argument. Embody their point of view completely, without resistance. Just take it in and see their argument, their issue, their emotions, and what they need. Please close your eyes once again and get into the mindset of this other person. Be that other person stating to you their counter-argument. Thank you. You have just experienced the power of being in the other person's shoes. The first step. The second step in the process is the ability to ask ourselves, I have my arguments, you have yours, but what really is our shared problem? Not my problem with you or you with me, but what is our shared underlying problem? In the case of the Israeli-Palestinian, we thought the problem was refugees, Jerusalem, water, religion. The underlying problem we found to be is lack of mutual trust and respect. We don't appreciate, nor do we trust your intention, nor do we trust your leaders that they will deliver on the goods. Very often we look at the problem and we say the underlying issue is ego, power struggles, lack of appreciation for the differences in our style. The second question is, what works well? Not everything is bad. This is coming from positive psychology. Can we look at some of the assets that we have in the situation? In a couple, we love each other. We care for the kids. We envision a future together. In business, we have an amazing complementary team. The two of us are like a mama-papa store. We're creating an incredible business. What works well is a source of energy to move ahead. This is like when you look at the tennis player. I don't know if this is true for Serena Williams. I do know that her serve is 206 kilometers per hour. Can you imagine her strength? What a killing instrument that is on the field, the power that she has when she uses that correctly. When you think about your conflict, as I will go along, or without pausing, ask yourself some of these questions. The next question is, the pressing one, what's the worst case scenario? Coming for risk management, understanding where will it go if it doesn't work well? If things are not working well, where would it go? What's the worst case scenario? Bad divorce, separation, loss of value, the loss of investors' trust, kids that don't want to be with us anymore, and kids that fighting generation after generation with each other, fundamentally our inability to realize what is happening and do something about it in real time. And if the probability of your worst case scenario is high, you're in trouble. The next question is, the most exciting one, is what is the best case scenario? What is the ideal reality? How does it look like in an ideal reality? This requires visualization, closing your eyes and looking into the future and saying, in X months from now or years from now, I wake up, I open my eyes, I look around and I see that everything is exactly the way I would love it to see it. What does it look like? If you can dream it, you can make it. The power of the mind. See it in clear details. See the facts, see the feeling. Get excited about that picture that you're seeing to say, yeah, this is exactly what I want to see. And then ask yourself, what will block it from happening? What will be the obstacle for that to happen? And many times what we see in the obstacles are things that are about ourselves, our own mindset, that we tend many times in conflict to flee away from it. Not now, later, I can't handle it, this is not a good hour. Or forcing, my way or the highway, bullying, to which many people respond by folding and saying, okay, I'll leave it for now, until I come back with a counterattack when relationships will change, or a compromise, which is looking for a 50-50 solution. We understand about fleeing that putting your head in the sand doesn't mean that your butt doesn't stick up. So, what does it take to make this happen? Action. The group that I met originally with has realized that while governments sign peace treaties, it's people that manage the reconciliation process. So they said, what can we do? And then they went to work. One guy went to the West Bank, identified a group of Palestinian women who are weaving these patches, and then helped them build a business, and then went to his friend who happens to be Donna Karan and told her, could you be so kind to put it on your jeans so these women have an access to market? Another guy went to the West Bank and built clinics and schools for refugees. We realized that we can have other meetings, so they had meetings between Turks and Greeks and Turks and Armenians over 1915, Jews and Muslims. We heard about that before. But then some people said, we can actually start tackling problems in a proactive way, like preventive maintenance, preventive non-flict. This is the method and how it's called. So they went out and established a group of women in India, 110,000 of them, that get together to talk about issues and change their life. They're talking about issues like girls' safety, so that they have a bathroom when they go to the field. They don't go to the field to the bathroom, that there is lighting. 110,000 of them have been trained how to use this process and to work. And then in university students, to take 25,000 of them to learn how to be the change they want to see in the world. And then to take kids off the gang street of Mexico City and give them an environment where they can work on their issues through studying Muay Thai and practicing how to fight. 40 years ago, to date exactly on the 19th of November, Anwar Sadat, at the time the president of Egypt, came to Israel to speak in front of the parliament after 30 years of wars, 4 wars, and thousands of people killed. A very courageous man took a stand. I believe, and I would like you to imagine, that we can live in a world where we understand the power of being in the other person's shoes. We live in a world when we understand that conflict is a desirable energy that we can use as a force, and that we can learn how to convert conflicts into non-flict in our life. Thank you very much.